Okay, what you saying, people, and welcome back to another live stream. Now, make sure you go join me on my Telegram channel. I left a link to that in the live chat and also the description below. Just because I posted a lot of different trading setups there throughout the week, and you don't be missing out on that, so make sure you check that out. But like I said, got another live stream for you. Going to talk you through what's happening in the charts today and see if you've got any opportunities coming our way. So first, we'll start with Aud USD. So you can see with this one still again looking a little bit bullish here. As you can see, we're slowly making those higher highs, higher lows. Again, the market is still a little bit overextended here. Big push to the upside, as you can see with these two big bullish candles breaking past our previous swing highs there in the market, creating some new highs. So you can see we are losing momentum, we are losing steam to the upside, so we are due a retrace for this pair. Like again, I have highlighted this trend line out, initial test there, second, third, so could be expecting another test of that trend line, then maybe see another bounce to the upside. The trend line does confluence with that previous swing high here in the market, so again, from the top of that wick there, the previous swing high, take that across, you can see it meets quite nicely there with that trend line. So price could see it move back into that level, potentially go and retest it, because again the market is still quite bullish here for Aud Usd, and I still think we could be going up to 0.8. We've almost actually hit that level there, so again might see a bit of retrace before we do push on to 0.8, maybe back into that trend line and see the continuation, because it does look like we are losing momentum to the upside there. And if I was jump on the hourly, you can see we're still losing momentum to the upside there, as price is kind of moving in a bit of a choppy price action sort of way. So could be expecting a bit of retrace now for AU, but overall the market still does look quite bullish there. Next we take a look at Eur Usd. So Eur Usd, for this one we have found support at that previous area of resistance. So I did say the market might find support here in the market. As you can see, previous resistance from last week fell to the downside, tap back into this support, really nice support there, test it again there, push to the upside, holding that area of previous resistance and support. And as you can see, we had some nice bullish price action from that area, so good to see another push to the upside, move back into that level there that I highlighted last week. This is kind of our previous swing high of the market, of the daily, really nice push to the downside, and I think we're slowly making our way to go and test that area up there. And as you can see, we've got a bit of bullish price action there in the 4H from that support, so might actually see a push into that level or maybe even higher. Get below that level and price actually breaks through that support, I expect to see a movement into this trend line here. Really nice test there. Second, could be looking for a third test, which actually lines up nicely with that support here in the market there and there again. So could be seeing a nice push to the upside, but if we do see a move to the downside and a break of that support, we'll probably come and test this area here. And if we do hold, could be seeing further continuation to the upside for that pair. GPUSD, big push to the upside. Actually overnight we actually went and go and hit 1.42, which is the monthly target that I had for this pair. As you can see, if I drop to the monthly chart and I zoom in, you can see we finally tapped into this area here, the market 1.42. Really nice resistance, sent us to the downside, failure to break through this support all the way down there around 1.2, and now we're actually coming to hit that area there for GPUSD. So again, really strong area of resistance. You can see previously last time we were here, we had a bit of consolidation and we saw a really big move back to the downside. So I do expect to see some resistance coming into GPUSD now, since again we are quite overextended as well on the lower time frames, like the daily and the 4 hourly, a bit overextended to the upside. So likely to see some retrace for this pair, but again we could actually potentially break through this level before coming down from a monthly perspective. But right now price does look like it's about to take a breather. We've had a really big push to the upside. Again, I have this trend line here in the market, so again could be seeing some retracement maybe into that area. Previous support all across here will be acting as support again if you go and test it with the trend line there. So could be seeing some retrace since we tapped into 1.42 now, really key level of monthly resistance. I'm probably going to see a reaction from that level, but of course we could even see another push to the upside before coming back down, maybe a wick above that monthly area before coming back down. So again, can't really trade a monthly level using the lower time frames, because the monthly could push on further for another half a month before coming back down. So we're in that area where you do expect to see some resistance and a bit of retrace to the downside, deeper retracement to the downside for GPUSD. Again, watch out because the price action is still very, very bullish for this pair. USD Cad, for this one, we had a break of the recent lows. As you can see here, recent swing low here of the market. We're going the daily, see a bit clearer. So again, recent swing low of the market, and as you can see, looks like we're breaking back below that area. So price is still looking quite bearish here. Bit of choppy price action. As you can see, those bullish candles coming into the market had a really strong impulsive move. Price is losing its bearish momentum, but is still making those lower lows, lower highs. I did say we might see a push into this level here, previous support time resistance, then see the continuation. But as you can see, this looks like market rolled over and broke through that support anyway. So price overall is looking bearish here. It does look like it's losing momentum. Might see a spring back up, but again, hard to predict since the market is so very bearish here for USD Cad. Again, might see a bit of retrace, but could easily just roll over again since the price action is quite corrective here. You can see on the hourly time frame, very corrective as well. So hard for really to see the market push much higher. But if you do see a big impulse candle breaking through some recent highs, could in fact see a push back up, back to that area up there. But for now, price is still looking quite bearish here for USD Cad. Usd Jpy had a big push to the upside. The market held that trend line. I did say I think Usd Jpy could be seeing some resistance around this level. Previous resistance there, really saw a really nice push to the downside. So if that area holds, could be seeing another push to the downside coming into this area here for Usd Jpy. As you can see, it looks like we might be breaking back above. But if we do see price hold above there, I do think price could be on its way to new highs for Usd Jpy, take out that previous swing high there. If you do see a bearish candle coming back down, closing back below, bit of a false breakout, and could be seeing a break of that trend line and a deeper move to the downside. So treating that level as a kind of a critical level in determining my bias for Usd Jpy on the Friday chart. If you do hold above it, I'm expecting to see higher highs. If you do manage to get back below it, and that was just a false move, I think we could be seeing another push to the downside, breaking through this trend line here in the market. I can see initial test there, second, third, fourth, fifth. I think we could be seeing a break of that trend line finally, and see a move into that support down here, which lines up with this nice push to the upside as well. So it just depends if that area doesn't hold or not. But if it does, could be seeing a push back higher. If it doesn't, and we see price close back below, could be seeing a nice swing back into this level around there. USD Jpy, we saw a big push to the upside for this pair recently. As you can see, we had a big push. I said if you break through this resistance, we'll probably see some new highs, or at least go and test that resistance. So you can see we've actually broken through that level, held above, and saw price actually take out that resistance there. So we've had a really big push to the upside for USD Jpy, broken through those highs there. Again, we're tapping into a really key level of daily support and resistance. So you can see here previous support there in the market, term resistance, or a really nice push to the downside from that level. And as you can see, we're tapping back into that level again. So I do expect to see some type of bearish reaction now for USD Jpy because of where we are in the market. We've just taken out that recent high. We've tapped into a really strong area of daily resistance and support. So it could be seeing a nice push to the downside. And again, as you can see, the market is quite overextended as well. We've had about 6 bullish candles there in a row, and we need to see a bit of retracement there, and as you can see 10 AM as well did close as a doji. So a bit of indecision here for USD Jpy at a really strong area of resistance. Could be seeing a bit of a push to the downside if we do get that current candle closing nice and bearish, and maybe even seeing a deeper retracement since we had such an impulsive push to the upside for this pair. Next, we're going to take a look at Nzd Usd. So Nzd Usd is still looking very bullish for this pair. As you can see, we've broken out that resistance on the 4H, really strong resistance and support all across here, broken through that level. As you can see, we pushed to the upside. I did expect Nzd Usd to get to 0.74. It hasn't quite got to that level. We're trading around 0.73, 800 around there. So again, could be seeing some retrace for that for this pair, but I still expect price to reach 0.74, really key weekly level. I think price is overall heading to. as you can see, we're almost quite there, so we'll be seeing some resistance coming into the market, a bit of retracement after we've had this impulsive leg there, a little bit of loss of momentum and another push to the upside. So we are quite overextended here for Nzd Usd, and we are due some retracement in this pair and seeing a little bit of a breather. But overall, again, the market is still very bullish here. You can see the 10 a.m. candle closing above there, a very bullish candle, until we start to see some strong reversal candlesticks coming in the market. Again, the market could easily push higher and go tap into 0.74 for that pair. Next, we're going to take a look at Jpy. So Jpy, you can see, is still very bullish here. This was my key weekly level that we're actually breaking above here on the 4H. So again, really key resistance. We at the end, we did respect this trend line. We broke below it a little bit, got back above it, and saw another push to the upside for Jpy. So if I was to go on the weekly chart, you can see what I'm talking about here. Very key weekly resistance. I'll just move that trend line out of the way. Really key resistance here in the market. So you can see previously when we were here, saw a really nice push to the downside. Second time, really nice push to the downside. Third time, you see we're actually breaking above it. So I did say we could actually see a break above this area, just for the market to come down a little bit of a false break, just because, again, really key resistance. A lot of people will be selling at this area, so could be seeing a move up to take them out and see the market come back down, because you can see here for the weekly chart, we've had about 9 or 10 consecutive bullish candles there in the market. So again, we are due to see a bit of retracement, but again, because the market is so bullish, it's quite hard to call if we'll have a retracement or not, just because of the price action is so very bullish here for the weekly, daily and 4 hourly time frames. You can see on the daily as well, very bullish market here, just gaining momentum to the upside, and same with the 4 hourly. So I do expect to see a bigger push to the downside for Jpy because of how bullish we've been in the past few weeks now. We are currently breaking through a really strong weekly resistance, but so far you can see the price action is still very, very bullish here. And yeah, I wouldn't be looking to sell the market here just yet for this pair. I want a bit more confirmation than that, but overall still looking very, very bullish. If price wanted to push on further, as you can see, we tapped into 150 there, so it could be seeing a bit of retracement now, but overall Jpy is still very, very bullish for that pair on the 4 hourly chart. Next, we take a look at GPAUD. So GPAUD, we've had a big push to the upside recently, as you can see, push to the upside, still treating that as retracement. I think for GPAUD, you'll come back to this level here around 1.76. I think we're going to see a really nice drop to the downside for this pair, so around that level, maybe even further. Again, still treating this bullish movement here as a pullback. As you can see, this is a bit of a range here, bit of a false breakout, but I think that's possibly a form of a lower swing high there in the market, and we're going to see the market continue to the downside now for this pair, and really see the market take off, because it looks like we are struggling to form higher highs in the market, and it looks like we're starting to break out of this range to the downside now. So expecting to see a bigger move to the downside for this pair and see the market really take off to around 1.76 or even potentially further, because again, the higher time frames are still overly bearish, so could actually see the market continue further to the downside for this pair. So it does have the possibility of hitting actually new weekly lows even all the way down there, but for now expecting to see a move into 1.76 down here, or potentially further. Similar for GPNZD as well for this pair. Again, you see a really nice push to the downside there at 10 a.m. that 10 a.m. candle closing below there. So I do expect to see a movement into this area here, like I said on my weekly analysis, back into 1.9. Again, expect to see a bit of retrace, but I do expect to see it move into 1.9 here for GPNZD, maybe even further. Again, looks like we're failing to break through this here previous area of resistance and support. So resistance there, support there, held again as resistance. Expect to see a nice move to the downside here for GPNZD, and a movement into 1.9 or potentially even 1.89 as well, depending how bearish we are, but bias is definitely to the downside for GPNZD and GPAUD. Again, they both move quite similar. Eur Jpy, recently we saw a big push to the downside again with the GPP strength we saw overnight. As you can see, the daily chart, really nice wick to the downside, very, very strong move. See, we are tapping into this area here in the market, prior resistance there across here, sent us to the downside, broke above, and only now we are retesting that same area. So do expect to see a bit of a bullish reaction now for Eur GBP. Again, you can see the weekly chart very overextended to the downside, and you do expect to see at least some retrace here in the market. And again, on the daily time frame, very overextended to the downside. So I do expect to see a push to the upside for Eur GBP. The market is very bearish, so again, it's difficult to trade this pair for the long term. So again, you could easily look for short trades in this pair, but if you were to stick a long trade on this for Eur GBP, it's quite hard to see a swing out of it because how bearish the market has been so far. So again, you're probably in it for a few pips before the market could easily turn against you. But for now, since where Eur GBP is testing here on the weekly area, I do think we'll see a bigger bullish reaction. Maybe see the market get back above this key level of support, which price did break below last week. Maybe even get back above that area. So I do expect to see a swing to the upside, but again, it's just harder to call because of the nature of the market is very, very bearish, and Eur GBP kind of moves quite choppy pair, so it's harder to call a breakout for this pair than some of the other pairs in Forex. But for now, it looks like we are holding this area of support here on the weekly time frame from price action of the 4 hourly. I do expect to see a bit of a bullish push to the upside for Euro GBP. Euro JPY, big push to the upside for this pair. As you can see, we went and tapped previous resistance across here, held as support down the daily, and the price slowly moved to the upside. Again, a bit of indecision around here, a bit of consolidation, but we did break to the upside, creating new highs there. So the overall direction for Euro JPY is still quite bullish here on the higher time frames, like the weekly, daily. You can see 4 hourly, obviously we're heading to the upside as well. Right now, we just made a new high there, so again, do expect to see some retracement, especially with a big bullish push like that to the upside. You do definitely expect to see some retracement to the downside now for Euro JPY. You can see already starting to have a bit of a bearish reaction there, taking out that really strong level of resistance. You can see prior to that, we saw a really nice push to the downside. So do expect to see a bit of retracement for Euro JPY, but again, overall price action here is very much to the upside. I believe we still do have this trend line intact for Euro JPY, but you haven't had a test in a long time now. So initially a test there, second, third, fourth. As you can see, we haven't really had a fifth because price actions kind of picked up momentum and took off a little bit. So if you were to see a bit of really nice bearish reaction, could be seeing a longer move back to go and test that trend line for a fifth time. But so far the market is bullish, so we won't be looking to take advantage of that just yet. Next, we take a look at Aud Jpy. So Aud Jpy for this pair, again, still very, very bullish. As you can see, for the past few days or so, been moving in quite the same manner. You can see a bit of consolidation, push to the upside, consolidation, push to the upside, and consolidation, push to the upside. So Aud Jpy is very, very bullish, as you can see with the price action in the 4H. Again, hardly any bearish retracement here. The market just pushes up, moves sideways, pushes up, moves sideways, pushes up, moves sideways. So again, the price action is very bullish here. You can see in the higher time frames like the daily, the weekly, the market is still very bullish. So difficult pair to short for any swings to the downside. We are coming into this weekly level, however, as you can see here, really nice weekly resistance all across here. Eventually we had this move to the downside. So we're coming into that area. So you do expect to see the market eventually give you a bit of a deeper retracement, but overall the market is still very, very bullish. So I personally won't be looking to short this here. And again, you can see the price action as well. We just had another push to the upside, breaking above that previous resistance, and now it's holding as support. So overall, Aud Jpy still looks bullish. If it keeps on this price action, it can push much higher if it wants to, maybe up to 84. Because right now we're around 83.689. I think we could push to 84 before coming back down maybe. But overall, again, you can see the market is still very bullish and won't be looking to short that at all anytime soon for Aud Jpy until we get some better price action. But for now, it looks like price is going to be continuous to the upside for this pair. Next, take a look at gold. So gold, I'm still in a long position for this one. Looking at a push to the upside. I did get in on Monday, as you can see around here, and we saw a really nice push to the upside here for this pair. On the daily time frame, we did come and test this key support here in the market, wicked below it a little bit, and saw a really nice push to the upside. So For gold, again, I do think we could be seeing a bigger push to the upside in time for this pair, but it does look like we are testing this trend line here in the market. So initial test there, second, looks like we're having our third test. So if the market does hold this area and we see a break of that support, I think we could be seeing a bigger move to the downside for gold, potentially even back to the lows again, back to this area here. Back to the daily support, and we do have this resistance here, previous support time resistance, which is also affecting price there. So if we do see a break of that support, I will be getting out my trade, but if we don't and actually see a break of that trend line, we could actually see a bigger swing to the upside, because from a daily point of view, you can see we're holding onto this support, and last time we held this support, we saw a bigger push to the upside, back to around this area here in the market. We saw a really nice push to the upside for a lot of momentum. I think we could be seeing an equal movement if we do hold this support. At that point, we might actually be seeing a bit of a reversal to the upside for gold, but again, that's probably a bit more of a bolder call. But right now for gold, it looks like we are holding this trend line here. Again, we do have that support just below it, which sent the market back up. So if we get below it, I think gold could be on its way back down to low. But get above the trend line, however, I think we see a nice swing to go and test this next kind of major swing point here on the 4-hourly time frame for gold. This level here around 1845, 1850 area, and then potentially could actually move higher at that point. So I'm looking to trade gold into that level there, expecting to see a break of that trend line. But if we don't see a break of that trend line and we see a break of that support, we'll exit the trade. So at that point, there is a good chance we could actually swing all the way back down to lows. But if we do see a break of that trend line, could be seeing a really nice push into that previous area of resistance, and we'll be at the resistance there again. And at that point, we actually might even see a break of that level and a move all the way up to here around 1870. But again, won't be too hopeful with gold, because again, the market is still have that very structure and it could easily continue. So just going to see how it gets on for gold here. And see if you can get a move to the upside. But if you see a break of that support, probably will move a lot lower, so we'll be exiting the trade for that. CAD JPY, I was in a short trade for this one, but as you can see, we had a really big push to the upside, expecting to see a bit of a false breakout and a move to the downside for this pair. So again, really nice resistance, anticipating that being a false breakout and looking for continuation to the downside. But as you can see, we never actually broke through this support, and the market held and just continued to the upside. So exited that trade for that one. But as you can see, the overall market now is still very bullish, and the market did in fact break back above that area and hold. So again, still looking very bullish there. Was anticipating to see the market break down lower, since again, we haven't really tested this area here in the market. Previous resistance will be turned support, so expecting to see a retest of that area before continuing up. But as you can see, we never made it past this support. Price held and then continued to the upside. So CAD JPY still looking very bullish here on the higher time frames. Looks like we've tapped into 84 there. So again, very, very bullish here. I think on the weekly time frame, we're coming up to a really key resistance. So again, this here is a really key weekly resistance for CAD JPY. You can see there, resistance there, resistance, resistance, resistance. So we're coming into that area. I think we're going to see a reaction to the downside for CAD JPY soon. But so far, again, you can see in the daily time frame, very, very bullish, and same with the 4-hourly. So they're not looking to short CAD JPY anymore here until we get some bit more confirmation. But right now, price is still looking very bullish here, and looks like we could be aiming for maybe 84,500 or potentially even 85 before seeing a bit of a reversal for this pair. But overall, still looking very, very bullish here for CAD JPY. So I'm just currently in a gold position long to see if we can take that higher past that trend line. Going to see how that gets on. If anyone is in any trades and wants to share it and just see how they're getting on, just drop it in the live chat and I will take a look. Or if you want to see some analysis on any pair that you want me to take a look at, or any different market, any different chart, just put it in the live chat. I'll make sure I'll get back to you and give you some analysis on that pair and any of my opinions. But for now, yeah, just going to see how gold gets on, take a look at some of the pairs to see how they get on as well. But just going to be focusing to see if we can get above that trend line for gold and see a nice push into that level there for the rest of the live stream. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick look at GBJPY. Okay, so for this pair, like I said earlier, we came into a really strong weekly level here. So you can see prior to this on the weekly time frame, really strong level of resistance, big push to the downside, test it again, big push to the downside. And as you can see, we're actually breaking above this area here. So the market is very, very extended here on the weekly chart. You can see we've had about 8-9 consecutive bullish candles in a row. And we are definitely due to see some retracement here, even from a weekly point of view for GBJPY. Currently, we are breaking through that resistance. Of course, the weekly candle hasn't closed yet. We still got the rest of the day, Thursday and Friday. We can actually see the market actually pull back and actually close bearish by then. But again, that's a bit of a tough call because of how bullish pound JPY has been so far. You can see the daily chart, very, very bullish here. 4 hourly still very bullish there as well. So again, you do expect to see a bit of a bearish reaction at this level here, but I did say earlier on we might actually see a break of this level because again, a lot of people will be selling here, clear level resistance, and then see the market pull back to the downside and have a bit of retracement, a bit of a breather, because again of how bullish it has been. And you can see in the past here, when the market has moved 8 or 9 candles in one direction with no retracement, you do expect to see a bit bigger of a push back in the other direction. So we are due a really nice retracement to the downside for pound JPY sooner or later, but again, tough call because of how bullish pound JPY has been so far. You can see on the weekly very bullish, daily very bullish as well, and even 4 hourly very bullish. So this could just be a big fake move to the upside to see the price come back down. Again, I don't expect the market to move too much higher, but again, I could be wrong here because of how bullish it has been so far. Again, we do have this level around here of prior resistance, around here that the market could tap into before coming back down, which is around 151, 152. But I do think we're probably going to see a bit of a bearish reaction here, just because of how extended we are here on the higher time frame. So again, I wouldn't look to buy and take pound JPY higher just because of how extended it is. But then again, I wouldn't just go and short it just now because I think it will come down. So again, probably wait for a bit more confirmation that we could be seeing a push to the downside. But again, I do think the bigger move for pound JPY is to the downside just because of how extended we are. So could be seeing a nice push to the downside. If you get back below this level by the end of the week, I think we'll probably see a really nice push to the downside, maybe back to 145 or even 143 potentially, maybe even further. But for now, I do think the bigger move is to the downside, but it doesn't look like pound JPY is just quite ready yet. But I think we could anticipate potentially a nice push to the downside if we do get a shift from bullish to bearish. But right now, the market is still bullish, and if we wanted to continue much higher, there's nothing really stopping it. So again, we're going to be a bit more patient for this one, but I do think we could be seeing eventually a really nice push to the downside for GBJPY. So I hope that analysis helped. Okay, so going to take a quick look at USD Cad. Okay, so for USD Cad, like I said before, we just saw price roll over to the downside here. Price was holding the prior swing low here. See if I jump to the daily time frame. This is our previous swing low here in the market. Nice wick there, and we've come to test it again for a second time. So I did say could be seeing a bit of a bounce from this level, because again you can see prior we did see a really nice push to the upside from that same level. I did say maybe a push into this level here, price support, will we turn resistance, then see the market roll over again. But as you can see, we didn't quite make it all the way up there. Had a bit of a bullish reaction, but then we just rolled over to the downside here for USD Cad. So overall we are still looking bearish here. We're creating some new lows. Could see a bit of retracement to the upside because we are lacking the momentum to really push the downside here. As you can see, we've had really nice momentum to the downside, then we've kind of lost a bit, and now we're starting to see the market just kind of roll over to the downside continuously. So it's either we see a bigger push to the upside and we see a bit of a reversal coming back into that area, or we see the market just gain a bit of momentum and really take off to the downside here after rolling over. So again, because the market has been so bearish here, and you see from the higher time frames all the way up to the monthly even, we are kind of in a bearish market here, and we could easily see the market go create some new lows and continue much further. So I wouldn't be so confident taking any buys here, but again, because we've just created some new lows, I wouldn't be so confident in taking sells either. So if you were to see a push to the upside, maybe coming back into this area, that could be a really nice place to look to sell the market, because prior support resistance you do expect it to hold and see the market continue to make some new lows. On that hourly time frame as well, we had a really nice push to the downside. We are obviously finding support in this area. Again, the market could easily just roll over and go and break through that, since we have been so bearish. So right now USD Cad is still bearish, might see a bit of retracement. If you were to see it move back into this level here, prior resistance will be acting as resistance there again, could see a nice opportunity to go short. Maybe if you break through that level up there, could be a nice opportunity to go short. So USD Cad overall, I still think it's on its way down and seeing some new lows, and a really nice retracement could be a nice place to look to take a pullback. So again, if you were to push into this level around here, that could be a nice area to go short, or this area up there could be a nice area to go short, because for me, my bias is still very much to the downside for USD Cad. I think we could be seeing a drop into 1.25. Currently we're trading around 1.257, so I still think we could see further into the downside for USD Cad, and any movement to the upside I'm still going to be treating as retracement, as long as we stay underneath that level. Break above that level, we might be having a reversal on our hands at that point, but as long as we see a push to the upside and it stays below this level here, still going to retreat as treat it as retracement, expecting to see a move lower. So bias overall is still the downside for USD Cad. I still think we can see some new lows, but again, could be seeing a bit of retracement first before we come down. USD Jpy, for this one, we had a really big push to the upside. We did respect that trend line there in the market. So if I take you back here, you can see initially a test there, second, third, fourth, and now we just had a fifth test, and price respected it again. So the trend line is still holding here for USD Jpy. I did say we could see it moving into this resistance, and if we do hold this area, could be seeing it move back down. So currently we're trading in that area. So if we do see a really nice bearish reaction from this level, see maybe an engulfing candle here in the 4H, it could be a sign that we're holding this resistance and could actually be seeing a break of that trend line and then move back into this support here, which kind of lines up with this support that we saw the market take off to the upside. So around 104,500, really nice support where we saw a really nice push to the upside for USD Jpy. So if we do hold this resistance where price is at, I'm favoring a move to the downside and a break of that trend line finally. However, if we do hold above this resistance, it will be acting as support, and at that point I expect USD Jpy to go give us some new highs here in the market and see us take out that recent swing high, which is all the way up there. So at that point we could be seeing a move into 107 potentially, but USD Jpy right now is looking a little bit bullish. So if you do see the momentum change and we see a bearish engulfing or something on the 4H or the hourly, could be a nice idea to short the market from this resistance. You can see it does provide quite nice momentum, and I do expect to see a break of that trend line and a move into that support. However, if we don't and we actually get the market holding above it, will be acting as support, and at that point I expect to see some new highs in the market, because again it just looks like we see a continuation of this bullish trend, and the trend line will be holding at that point. So currently we're trading at a critical level here for Usd Jpy, which will help determine my bias for where I think this pair will go. If we break back below, I'm expecting to see a movement back into the support around 104,500. If we do hold above, expect to see some new highs here for Usd Jpy. So hope that analysis helped on Usd Jpy and Usd Cad. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at Eur Aud. Okay, so for Eur Aud, for this pair, recently been in a very strong downtrend for this market. As you can see, very strong push to the downside here towards the end of last week, and again, we've also had another push to the downside this week as well. We had a bit of consolidation here on the 4H. As you can see here, we had a gap to the downside, and then we had a bit of a consolidation, broke to the downside, now we're back above it. So it looks like a bit of a false breakout there for Eur Aud. So we might actually see a break to the upside for this pair, because again, normally after a false breakout, you do expect to see the market push away in the opposite direction. But because the market is very bearish here, it's quite hard to look for any long-term buy opportunities. But again, since we are overextended, we could see maybe a pullback back into this recent support. So if you do break out this consolidation to the upside, could see a push back into that area there. Previous support wasn't really retested there, just pushed to the downside. Bit of consolidation, fake out. If you do see a break of that resistance up there, we're probably going to come and test that previous area of support term resistance. So could be seeing it moving to the upside, but if you were to roll over again here for Eur Aud and break back below this support again, it probably just means that we're on our way back down again for Eur Aud and see some lower lows, because again, the market is still very bearish, on the higher time frames like the weekly, daily, and 4H is still very bearish. So if this is a false breakout and we start to see a breakout to the opposite side, could be a sign that we're going to break and come test this area here around 1.5030, around there. If you do roll over again and break back below this support, it probably means we're coming back down and we're going to see some lower lows there for Eur Aud. And for CHF Jpy, recently you saw a really big push to the downside here on the daily time frame. We're back testing this area here of support there for CHF Jpy. As you can see, a bit of a bullish reaction there. So yeah, could be seeing a nice push to the upside. We do have previous support obviously going around here. We didn't really see a retest of the area, so could be seeing a push to the upside, retesting that previous support, now term resistance. Again, if you do break through that support there, we'll probably have to see a big push to the downside at that point and probably have to change the bias. But for now, I do reckon if you do hold this support, could be seeing a nice push to the upside, at least back into that level, maybe even further potentially. We do have the resistance up here, so I'll move that out of the way. You can see we do have the resistance all the way up here. That price could maybe want to go and test, but I reckon we could see a movement into this area here of the previous support there as well, with that doji push to the downside, holding at this kind of key area of support. You can see previously very strong moves to the upside, strong moves to the upside. So again, really strong level to buy from, and if you do see a movement into that level, might see price turn back down again, because we are starting to form some bearish price action here. Get above it, however, could see a bigger move back into that resistance there. So really nice resistance here, resistance there, sent to the downside, could go back up and retest it. But for now on the 4H, you can see really nice bullish coming to the upside. Does look like we are holding that support, so at least expect to see a movement into this area here. If you break through, we could go much further to the upside. So again, I hope that analysis helped. Okay, so we're going to take a quick look at Euro USD. Okay, so for Eur Usd on the 4H time frame, you can see for this one so far in a bit of a bullish trend here. Pushed to the upside, creating this higher highs, higher lows. We found resistance here prior to that in the market. I think last week we found it, and then you can see we broke above it, acting as support. Bit of bullish price action there. So my bias is still to the upside for USD. I still think we can come out and take this level out here, which is around 1.219. Really nice resistance. This is kind of like our previous swing high here on the daily time frame. Push to the downside, creating those new lows. Looks like we're forming a higher low there, so I do think we're going to come and eventually take out that level. So my bias is still to the upside for USD. I think we can go and take out that resistance and maybe see a push to 1.22 potentially. If we do break below this current support that price is respecting, we do have this trend line here in the market. So we'll connect the two recent swing lows. So again, initial test there, second there. Could be seeing a third test which does line up with this support there. So support wicked into that area, still acting as support there as well. So we do have a bit of confidence in this area of that support and that trend line. So might see a bounce there and continuation to the upside if we do break through that resistance, that support, sorry, that price is currently sitting on. So my bias is to the upside, so any movement to the downside I still will be treating as retracement, expecting to see further continuation to the upside for USD. However, if we do go and break through this support here and see price violate the trend line and hold below it, then I probably might change my bias and expect USD to come back to lows. But for now, I think USD is on its way back to highs again. And if we do hold this support, which price is currently testing at, I do think we can go and take out that resistance there and see maybe a test of 1.22, maybe even further, because at that point, it looks like from a daily point of view, we'll be having a bit of a reversal there and could actually be seeing price come all the way back to the previous weekly highs for Eur Usd. So biases to the upside, hold that level there. Do expect to see that resistance taken out. If we don't hold that level and take out that support, expect the market to come back to this area where I do expect to see a bit of a bullish reaction there to the upside. And if you take out all those areas in the market altogether, we'll be changing my bias to the downside. But for now, expecting to see a push higher to 1.22 potentially for Eur Usd. So again, hope that analysis helped. Okay, so I can take a quick look at GBP USD. Okay, so for GBP USD, for just leave that level, that is my monthly level there. So we're coming to a very strong resistance on the monthly time frame. But again, really not too much important for 15 minutes. So, okay, so yeah, GBP USD recently overnight, see big push to the upside there, big wick all the way up to 1.42400 around there, big push to the downside. Failed to create a high there, so you can see eventually came back down here. Previous resistance came down, so it does look we are coming into a bearish market here for GBP USD here on the 15. Again, price support here could be term resistance if you were to make a move into that and then see a fall to the downside. I would be a bit careful of this area here though, because we did find quite a lot of momentum from this level. So prior resistance there broke above, a bit of a doji, and then we just took off to the upside. So if the market does come down and test this area, we're likely to see a bit of bullish momentum to the upside and a bit of a push. Get below it, however, we can see the market really take off to the downside. So from a 15-minute point of view, if you were to see a move into that area, that could be a really nice area to look to short the market into, and then probably target this area here around 1.411819, so around there. So if you were to see a push into that level and then push back down there, that could be a really nice short trade there for GBP USD, because again, price support holding as resistance, just seeing continuation of that bearish structure there. But again, this level here did see a lot of momentum, so you could equally be seeing a big push back to the upside, and again, it probably could take you out of your trade again, because it is right at the highs there. We do have a potential of going a lot further, because GBP USD on the hourly, the 4 hourly, the daily is very extended, so could maybe take it down a little bit further. But just because this is where the momentum came in, I would watch out for that level. So yeah, so could see a nice push back into that level and then continuation back down. So I hope that analysis helped. And yeah, I'll take a look at Eur USD as well. So Eur USD for this pair, again, like I said, I do expect further continuation to the upside. Prior resistance holding at support, do expect to see a movement into that resistance up there around 1.219, and if you break through that, maybe 1.22. Again, really key level of support. So if you break through that level, could be seeing a deeper push back into this support here. So nice support there. We'll be acting as support then, and again, it has nice confluence with the trend line as well, with these two swing points there. So any movement to the downside, I'm treating as retrace for Eur USD, as long as we hold above this trend line and above that support. Break through it, I'll probably change my bias, but still expecting to see further continuation to the upside for Eur USD. Again, a bit of choppy price action here on the hourly, but we're slowly making our way to the upside, and I do think we're probably going to take out those highs and see it move into 1.22. So bias to the upside for Eur USD, as long as we stay above this trend line. So I hope that analysis helped. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick look at USD Jpy. Okay, so for this pair, recently had a big push to the upside. As you can see, we did respect that previous trend line here in the market. So if I actually get rid of that level there. So again, you can see the trend line here, really strong trend line. I think we are at 5 tests now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th test here. So really strong push to the upside. So for this pair, kind of at a really strong level of resistance here in the market. So you can see here, really nice test of that resistance. Fell to the downside quite sharply. Tested there as well, fell to the downside quite sharply. So for me, it just depends whether this level holds or not. If you get above this level and price holds above this level, it will be acting as support, and I do think we'll probably see price go and reach these highs again and probably take out those highs and give us some new highs there for Usd Jpy and just continue the overall uptrend from the trend line. But if you do see price get back below this level of resistance and it does hold, and we see maybe an engulfing candle back down in the 4H, you'll see price close back below that resistance with good price action. I do think we could see actually a break of this trend line here and see price come back to the previous swing high, or swing low, sorry, which is this really strong area of support where we did see price eventually go and break that resistance and see some new highs. So if you do hold at this resistance and see price close back below, I do think we could see it move back into this support here. However, if we do hold above it, we'll probably see some new highs, and the overall uptrend of higher lows, higher highs will just continue here for Usd Jpy. So kind of at a really key level, which determines my bias for this pair. If you do hold above it, I'll hold the bias of price going to the upside and again just continue the overall bullish trend here and seeing some new highs, take out that previous high. However, if we fail to break through this level here and we see the current candle or the candle after that close below here, that resistance, I'll just anticipate that will fail to create those highs. I'm probably going to see a reversal and a break through that trend line, and the price moves to that previous swing low there. So just depends what price wants to do for that level. So probably could determine which direction Usd Jpy probably will go in after this candle closure, or maybe the candle after that. So currently it's at a critical level, just depends whether we hold or break through it. Hold above it, expecting new highs, break back below, expecting to see a move back into this level here around 104.500. So hope that analysis helped. Okay, so I can take a quick look at Eur Usd. Okay, so Eur Usd, like I said, I do expect further continuation to the upside. Again, previous resistance around here in the 4H holding as support. It looks like we're going to get further continuation to the upside. This was our previous swing high here on the daily chart. So if I jump to the daily and I zoom in, you can see this area here of the market was our previous swing high before creating the new low. So I do think we'll probably go and take out that area here in the 4H. So that's the level there. I do think price is probably going to go and take out that level, maybe tap into 1.22, maybe a bit higher before retracing a little bit. But my bias is to the upside. Any movement to the downside, I'm still going to retreat as retracement, expecting to see the market move higher after that. So if we do fail at holding this support and the price comes back down, I think we'll come back and tap into this area here. Really nice support around here, support there again. You can see we tapped into it with that wick. Nice push to the upside, and we got the confidence as well with that trend line there. So could be seeing further continuation to the upside for Eur Usd, and maybe even price go much higher. If you were to see a movement into this area, again, do expect to see further continuation to the upside as well. If you do break through the trend line, however, I might change my bias to the downside from then on, and probably start seeing lower lows, lower highs at that point, expecting to see the market come and take up that low down there. But for now, Eur Usd looks like it's on its way up. It does look like it's holding that support, so I do expect further continuation to go and take up those highs and see maybe a test of 1.22 or maybe even higher. So for now, any retracements or any movement to the downside, treating as retracement as long as we stay above the trend line, and looking to see if we can go and test 1.22. So bias is to the upside for Eur Usd. So I hope that analysis has helped. Okay, so it's just gone 12 p.m, so I'm going to look to end the live stream shortly, but I'm going to do a quick rundown on some of the pairs that we looked at 10 a.m, and also check a look at my current trade as well. So Aud Usd, as you see, still bullish here on the 4H hourly there as well. Again, the overall trend of this pair is still very much to the upside. Still have this trend line here intact of the previous swing low, so I did say we could be seeing a push to the downside to come and retest this area, but as you can see, we're still bullish. So as long as price maintains that, it could potentially move higher. I think do have a bit of a short-term trend line here in the market as well. As you can see, the market is holding above that trend line there, so a break of that trend line could take us lower to come back and test this trend line here before H. This is for more of a lower time frame trend line there, but if you do break through that area, could be seeing a bit of a deeper retracement. As long as we keep respecting that trend line, looks like price is probably going to push higher and create some higher highs. Eur Usd, like I said earlier, I do expect further continuation to the upside for this pair into that resistance here. We're going to swing high, push the downside, create new lows, and probably actually take out that area, since it does look like we're forming a bit of a bullish trend line here, creating some new highs in the market. So do expect to see further continuation to the upside for Eur Usd. If you do see a push to the downside, still going to be treating that as retracement, as long as we stay above this trend line here in the market. If you do take out that trend line and start holding below it, might change my bias, but overall I do think Eur Usd is on its way to the upside. GPUSD as well for this one, 4H, again still overly bullish. Looks like we're having a bit of retracement here on the low time frames, but overall still quite bullish here for GPUSD. If you were to get a bit of a deeper retracement, might tap back into the trend line here. This should test there, second, could be looking for a third before continuing, since we have tapped into a monthly resistance, so you do expect to see some reaction there. But for GPUSD, overall still looking bullish there, and for me there's not enough price action there to look to take advantage of the retracement just yet. But again, it still looks like GPUSD is still bullish here on the 4 hourly time frame. Usd Cad for this one, again still bearish, like I said earlier. Yeah, it looks like we just roll over to the downside. You can see on the hourly chart there, price is still very much bearish here, so very difficult if you're looking to buy that. But again, selling it, you can see the market is respecting the overall trend of the market very, very well. I did say could be seeing a bit of retracement back into this area, but as you can see, the market only retraced about halfway before just continuing to the downside. So I did say Usd Cad, I do expect to see about 1.25 hit, maybe even further, and it looks like we're going to go and test 1.25. so any movement to the upside for Usd Cad, still treating it as retracement, expecting further continuation much lower. Usd Jpy, like I said earlier, we're at a really critical area of resistance and support. If we hold above this area, as you can see, previous resistance there, send us to the downside quite well before coming up and breaking through that resistance. If you hold above this area, it looks like price is just going to keep respecting that trend line there, which started all the way back here. So first test, second, third, fourth, fifth. So if you get back above that resistance there, which does look like price is wanting to do, so if you do hold above that resistance, it will be acting as support. At that point, I do expect Usd Jpy to go and take out those recent highs there and see a new high. However, if you do come back down, because we still do have 2 hours left before that current 4H candle closes, if we do manage to close below, give us a bearish engulfing or something like that, I do expect to see a move to the downside, price to break out of this trend line here and see a move into the previous swing low, which is this area of the market there. So currently at a really strong area of support and resistance. Hold above it, I do expect new highs for Usd Jpy. However, if we don't hold above it and break back below, do expect to see a longer swing to the downside back into this support and maybe even further. So it just depends how we react with that key level that price is currently at, and probably know after this candle's closed whether if we hold above it or breaking back below. Usd CHF for this one, again tapping into a really key level. I did say I do expect to see a movement to the downside now. If I go onto the daily chart, you can see where we are here in the market. If I zoom in, you can see previous support here, turn resistance, and from that level came crashing down to the downside there for Usd CHF. So right now we're tapping back into that area. Do expect to see a bit of a bearish reaction there for this pair. You can see on the 4H as well, quite overextended here from this support here, just took off to the upside about 6 or 7 consecutive bullish candles in a row. Do expect to see a bit of retracement now for Usd CHF to the downside from that area, maybe even coming back to test this prior resistance turn support, which you didn't really get a retest of. So could be seeing a push to the downside into that area for Usd CHF. but overall I do expect to see a bit of retracement now for this pair since we've been so bullish. And gold, which is a current pair I'm currently long on, which I was from Monday. As you can see, really nice push to the upside. Currently we are testing this trend line here for gold, so initially test there, second there, right now we're having our third test. So if you do obey this trend line, see price break below the support which I've highlighted, there is a good chance gold could be on its way for another leg to the downside. As you can see, the structure, the trend in the market is very much to the downside for this pair. So if we break below that support, it's probably indicating to us that this trend line's holding, we're creating lower lows. We could have a good chance of coming all the way back to this previous low. So at that point I'll probably exiting my long position, but for now I do expect to see a break of that trend line and see price move into this key area of resistance there, the market, kind of our last previous swing high, because at this point I do think we could be seeing a reversal for gold. Really nice support, we've tested it, wick below it just a little bit, and I do think we could be seeing a potential move to the upside past that trend line. So looking to see if I can capture a move past the trend line into that level there. I have already taken some profit, so if we were to reverse and take out the support, I'll just exit my trade completely. Break through that trend line, could be seeing a really nice push back into that resistance up there. So just going to see how that gets on and see if we can get a move into that level there. But if we don't, again, we'll look to exit the trade and just see how it develops. But that is the end of the live stream. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and also leave a like on the video if you found it generous. Liking the video if you're feeling generous. But thanks again for watching, and until the next one, I will see you guys later.